Hello and welcome to Talk Time Anime. My name is Luca and I'm joined by Jordan
Hello.
and Lewis.
Hello.
Today we're going to be reviewing and discussing chapter 294 of My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
So, this chapter, very emotional from start to finish.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
So, to begin with, we basically get a monologue from Best Genius of what we've all known and been thinking for a long time, but it's great to see it, written, and the way Best Genius talks as well. He's so refined, like he's really the best person to say this.
Yeah.
That all the efforts of the heroes, Aizawa losing a leg, Miyako losing an arm,
and
everyone else, Gran Torino Hawks,
Crossed,
Mount Lady, Crossed, Midnight, Endeavour, Deku, all the sacrifices.
They all played their part for it.
Yeah, every small hit, every small win, has, come together and allowed them to, contain Makia, the guy who's done the most damage to this entire arc.
Yes.
Really, just a very cool image of Best Genius as
Honestly,
well.
Best Genius in that bit.
And...
Yeah, the thing is, though, last few chapters, I know he's been struggling, obviously, like straining, but I didn't realise he was, that tired or it was affecting his body like that much. So that panel surprised me a little bit, to be honest, kind of thing. At one point, I thought he was crying, but I don't think he is. I think it is just blood and stuff because obviously he's straining himself so much. But that was a really sick panel, to be fair, and that's from a villain stand, to be honest. So, now Best Genius, honestly, better than the other two in my IMO. But obviously, probably not same power wise, but honestly, yeah, he's sick.
Yeah. Future number 1, let's go.
Yeah. We'll get him there.
So then we go from that, and Mirio and the crew are fighting all the Nomus. We get a pretty funny bit where Ida refers to Bakugo with his full hero name.
That was
Dynamite.
Dynamite. Yeah.
Last chapter.
Oh my god, that was so funny. When he called him and he'd done the whole fucking name, what was it, like Great God Murderer or something? Oh my god.
And also this chapter as well got the translation correct of his name because last chapter they had to change the spelling of dynamite because it wasn't correct. So it's not dynamite as in M-I-T-E, it's might as in all might.
All might.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you knew that, Lou. But that is the official translation now.
Fair.
Yeah.
We commented on it
last week,
from the perspective of M-I-T-E.
And I'm still kind of in the boat of like what you guys were talking about as well, like a bit like, it's a little bit cringe, but like at the same time it's kind of like that. I mean, that's why everyone had that reaction, I guess, last episode about it being tacky.
Yeah. Like, it's no like Red Riot or
no.
What's Tokiyami's one? Is it Tsukuyomi as well? That's a cool one.
Yeah, that is a cool one.
Yeah.
Like, but his hero names, we're still going to refer to them as Bakugo and Kirishima and all that, so it doesn't really make a difference. All it really does or changes is that it kind of shows how nerdy Bakugo is behind the hard exterior. There's very little to separate him from Deku anymore.
No.
They are the same person on two different paths. So yeah, that's that. Anyway, then this is where it gets really emotional where the debate all starts. Compress is trying to break free from Best Genius restraints.
Yeah.
He can see that Shiggy can't do anything else. He's done.
Mm-hmm.
But he knows they need to escape because, as he says, Dabi, Toga, and I, haven't achieved anything in the grand scheme of things. But maybe Dabi has. So I don't know.
Yeah, I thought we'd just get a lot of Dabi from here on out, and I thought he'd help more. But again, like.
I know Jordan's trying to keep himself controlled.
We'll get to it.
I know it's just that, like, obviously, it's a tough one, right? Because I thought the bit was pretty cool, like I said, with Best Genius. But again, like I said last chapter, in that the whole sedative thing, yes, it was a joint effort by the heroes, very cool, very shonen. But it was kind of like, that was like their one chance of taking something from this, really, in my opinion. Like, after, like, in this battle they're having now. And now it's just, I don't know, like...
It's not over yet, it's not over yet.
It's not over yet, you're right.
But yeah, so he's trying to break free, and he's even thinking to himself, maybe this is the end, because those restraints are around his neck and Spinner's.
Yes.
So,
oh my god!
No mercy spared from Best Genius here.
Yeah. That fucking funny panel of it should have been funny at the time, right? But the panel of Spinner, right? And people were comparing it to like that cat meme where it's like coughing up. And it actually looks 1-to-1, like, and everyone said that Horikoshi meant it. I don't know if he did, but apparently he's done it before. So I was like, maybe then. Oh god, that did make me laugh.
And everything Compress is saying further, goes to show, how close the league is. How much of a family they are,
family.
And he very much considers himself a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's up until now he's really been the support guy.
Yeah.
So this was his moment now to show that he could take charge, take the front.
Yeah.
And so his resolve in this scene is unreal. He compresses a part of his own body to give his hand a bit more movement within the restraints.
And
leaves a big hole in the side of his torso,
yeah.
But also allowing him to break free and compress, Genius fabrics.
Yep.
And then do the same for Spinner and Shiggy.
Yeah. Which is pretty dope, to be fair. Got him straight out. He did it quick, so quick. No one saw it coming. I'll give him that. Like, no one saw it coming. Like out of the heroes and stuff. But
yeah, like, and for Compress as well, like, I'm thinking now back to that, bit where we first met Overhaul after, he killed Magna.
Yeah.
And Compress was the first guy of the whole league, the first guy to run in, and try compress Overhaul. It didn't work because he got shot by the quirk deleting bullet. But he's always been that guy,
No, yeah.
Always been that guy.
Defensive kind of. He's on his boys or his fam, like.
Exactly.
It does sadden me, I can't lie. I'm a bit disappointed. I guess go on.
Yeah, so then Mirio sees this and, he starts moving towards the scene.
Yeah, he's been out all his nomos, isn't he? Is it that point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
And then he frees Skeptic as well. And then we finally get, the compressed backstory. This has been theorized for a long time.
Yeah, man.
So, OG Harima was introduced to us, like, during the Overhaul arc, I think, as one of the three, pillars of the criminal underworld, along with All For One and Destro.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've met Redestro, so he was the last to be revealed. Some people thought he would be related to Hawks because, there's that story between Hawks and Endeavour. Endeavour saving Hawks from a villain family, so some people thought it'd be him.
Yeah.
But there were obviously plenty of people who also made the connection to Compress, keeping his identity, concealed, and the fact that, the thief was quite... Well, he's a thief, so there's a lot of tricks and stuff. And Compress is like a magician, so easy links.
He always got him out of situations because of them tricks and stuff. Like, as you said, a support kind of guy, like in the back, but doing the deeds. He's insane.
He's great. Really, I've always loved Compress, and so this was great to finally see. In terms of Harima, it gets revealed that Harima targeted, sham heroes, much like Stain did.
Very much like Stain. I got those vibes from it.
And he would steal from their, fattened pockets.
Yeah. Almost like Robin Hood, but on heroes. Like,
yeah, it's true.
But no, I can't believe you called that. To be fair, Luca, I can't believe you called that. Oh god.
So yeah, huge reveal. I was very happy with that. And then we go back to the fight between Shoto and Dabi.
Yes, yeah. And Dabi doesn't finish the fucking job.
Dabi doesn't finish the job. As we'll get into later, we can understand the Shoto plot armor.
Yeah.
Because it's
Shoto's one of the main students, kind of thing, if you know what I mean. So it's like Shoto.
So I guess the thing we have to take from yeah, exactly. He's not going anywhere anytime soon.
No, especially with a film coming out.
But I guess yeah, sure.
He's on the
they wouldn't want to ruin that marketing.
No, of course not. Oh my god.
But I guess the one thing we can take from this is the fact that Dabi, despite everyone's opinion of him, he is quite clear of Shoto at this point.
Yeah, the way he just like blasts him away.
Yeah, like the blue flames mean business.
They just overpower him so easily. Like, it looks easy. It looks like pretty casual for Dabi in that point. Like, compared to how hard Shoto's pushing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, everyone has underestimated Dabi so much. I'm glad to see that he's finally showing that he is top 2 at the league.
He doesn't just look good. Like, he doesn't actually just have like that edgy, cool design. He's actually like kind of, how do I put it, like living up to it kind of thing. Yeah, defo. I agree.
So yeah, Dabi decides not to kill Shoto because NG or Endeavor has fainted.
Yes.
And he wants Endeavor to watch him kill Shoto.
That's some weak reasoning, Horikoshi. That's some weak reasoning, but I suppose it's somewhat just Dabi's fucked up personality.
It's weak. It is weak reasoning, but then I think it's also because he just wants Endeavor to feel so much pain, and the thing that Endeavor has worked towards the most is Todoroki.
Yeah.
So I do understand it, but it's like, why has Endeavor had to faint now?
If Endeavor fainted,
that's the thing where I think it's weak.
If he fainted and woke up to Todoroki being dead, then
he knew he couldn't do anything.
Yeah, then
that would still that would still break
torture him.
Yeah.
So, and it was his own son. Like, again, that's just like icing on the cake, really. That is fucking Toya. So.
But yeah, it's Shoto at the end of the day. So
he's not going. He's like back rowing that. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah. So then we go back to Compress. And he reveals that, as he said, he's his great-great-grandson.
Yeah.
The Bandit King's blood flows through me.
So I got to confirm what we were saying on that panel a few chapters back when he's like another one with an interesting bloodline. Sorry. So he doesn't know about Shigaraki per se. So that is interesting.
And he gives like a very magician type speech.
It's very cool, yeah.
It's you say you barely noticed me. It's all part of the act. All for the Tadar moment,
Yeah, that was.
He also has a bit earlier on where he's like, every trick needs an assistant or something.
That's what he escapes.
Perfect assistant.
Yeah. That was nice. He had some sick lines in this chapter, honestly.
The true trick is saved till the end, and as he's bowing, and we get the face reveal.
His bow. Oh my god.
We get the face reveal. Obviously, he looks very similar to his great-great-granddad. I was personally, even though I was a believer that he would be related, I always had in my head that he was blonde. I guess just from his costume and the colour of his eyes. But
no, dark head, looks kind of nice. He's got, although he's kind of missing a few bits of his body right now, but he's doing what he can.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man.
Right, so this is. Yeah, this is where we get into it now, because obviously he's got a massive hole in his chest.
Mirio's
the
coming
question
in
now, and he says, voila, the curtain rises on the first and final escape.
Yeah.
Artist performance. So obviously, it wants us to focus on the fact that he says final escape and that he's got a hole in his chest.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so we assume that he's going to die.
Mm-hmm. But he's going to get him out, basically.
Yeah. Like, personally, I have faith that, you know, it's not over yet.
For Compress.
Yeah, for Compress. Because it's not like when Twice died, you know, mid-chapter and he, like, fully evaporated and that was it. There was no more Twice, you know?
Yeah.
You know, he's
still
up.
What a nice way to put it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get to the point. I'm just trying to get to the point because I'm conscious of time and I know we're going to debate this a lot.
No, that's right. Keep going.
So, yeah, it's not like that, you know. He's still up, he's still alive. And more importantly, we have, you know, Shiggy has the final panel and, you know, Shiggy's a god at this point. So
I know. So this is where I can start debating, right? Because I want you
to okay.
Through, right? Because
we're going to talk situationally now. So there's two things we're going to discuss.
Okay, he's telling me what I'm going to discuss. He's telling me.
I'm telling you, because I know you're going to go off. So we're going to discuss ways in which Compress
3, 2, 1
will survive.
Yeah.
Because it's not confirmed he's dead. So ways in which Compress can survive. And then we'll talk about what would happen if Compress does die, and that's the bit that Jordan really wants to get to.
Yeah, because alright, we'll start off with the first thing because I was about to just straight up just dive into the other thing.
Okay.
So chances of Compress surviving, for me, low on Horikoshi's track record, but the idea for me was like, as we spoke about a little bit, but the which you're probably thinking somewhat the same thing as well, is like if Shigaraki does somewhat get back up, you know, even if they're not at full strength, he might have some kind of quirk to you know, heal Compress or something. Like there's no reason he shouldn't have. Like was it like you saying about that all one for all and that, and how he's trying to match him, and I know only ones he could do, or if like, well, you can say about your theory about like him giving the thing, but
all of Deku and Shiggy's quirks, like, you know, match up against each other in some way. So, you know, All For One knows all the quirks that Deku could potentially have.
Yeah.
Because he's ultimately the guy that killed all of the previous users.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that he would set Shiggy up to match that, you know, for the counters and stuff.
It. Yes.
You know, so you know, last chapter I mentioned, remember when there was that tiny panel of Deku at the top and he said, "This feeling feels familiar." And I said, maybe Deku's going to have another quirk awakening. It could match up with Shiggy, you know,
getting a new one himself, or
a new quirk himself, you know.
Mm-hmm. Which I think would be nice because, you know, villains getting some plot armor would be fucking nice with the amount of the heroes got. So that would be nice, but I have to see, I suppose. But
yeah. So a healing quirk for both Deku and Shiggy could be a potential way that Compress survives this.
I think you said it before, but we've already seen that Shigaraki can like regenerate pretty damn well from some of the damage and stuff he's taken. So if he was to give that quirk to Compress in some way, I think that would be an interesting one. Whether he'd sacrifice that power himself, but like the thing is, Shiggy also kind of sees like the League as like a family. Like he does, obviously they all do at this point. We've realised, but obviously for the greater goal, would that be worth it in terms of, you know? Because obviously,
and he could potentially find another guy with a healing quirk and just steal that one for himself.
That's very true. Yeah.
This is the power that Shiggy has now. You know, he can transfer quirks, he can take quirks.
Mm-hmm.
It's all to play for.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is one. You know, that's how Compress could survive. And you know, Compress has time. Like in this series, Best Jeanist has one lung, Endeavor has one lung, All Might doesn't have a stomach. Night Eye survived about 6 hours with a concrete spike through his chest.
Yeah.
Gran Torino has somehow survived a Shiggy fist through the chest for at least like, you know, another half an hour or whatever. So
yeah. This is the thing.
It's not over yet.
This will lead me on to my other point. Right, that bar Compress that you just said. A majority, if not all, our villains, right, that have got our heroes that have got this plot armor.
Yeah.
Right. And this is where my initial bug starts, right? Is I think it's because Horikoshi, I love him, I do. Right? I love my hero, right? But he gave me hope that in the villain arc and stuff, the amount of development we got from them, that he'd treat them more equally. That it wouldn't be like this typical shonen where like the heroes only got like the plot armory power ups, which is obviously always going to be there. I'm not saying it's not going to be there, right? It happens in loads of my favourite series. But Horikoshi made the arc and almost set it up like it was going to be somewhat different. Like the villains would have just as much character building and that kind of defense as the heroes would. Probably a little less, obviously. But this arc, it started off well as well with the whole, obviously, Mirako won, but it was at a cost, you know. Crust, again, getting the objective. Died, but getting the objective, getting Aizawa took a sacrifice, you know. And then Shigaraki comes out as this godlike being and is amazing, but so far has no bodies bar Crust, which was just the initial shock. He's faced all 5 of them, basically shown that he is stronger than all 5, but he has not come out of anything other than Gran Torino, who, let's be fair, we thought he was going to fucking die anyway. Like, to me,
not a surprise.
And then, but it's not just that, it's like I wouldn't mind too much, but then he's also taken out Twice and Compress, and
this, like,
I understand.
This is where the debate is.
Yeah.
Because like losing Twice was one thing. Like,
that was
very emotional.
Yeah.
You know, and Twice was always kind of like that fringe villain as well, where it was kind of like, is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy?
And it was a brilliant way to end like his character arc.
Yeah, the way he sewed it all together was amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, Twice again, like so overpowered, is kind of like Aizawa as well.
Yeah.
Whereas Aizawa has clearly been nerfed. You know, he's lost a leg.
Yeah.
He's had his head caved in, and from the new art, it looks like he's going to lose an eye. Aizawa is still alive, whereas you know Twice is dead.
No.
So they're like the two like overpowered beings on each side that I would say are now kind of out of the future fight. You know.
Yes.
So that's one thing. Like that's fine. That felt settled, and then we had.
Yeah. The thing is, right, as well. I want to say, with like Twice, is that as we said before, like his death was kind of set up. It was really well done and stuff, and like. I felt like Hawk should have got bodied by Dabi, but at least he got something out of that. You know what I mean? Like, obviously the recording and everything. And it probably wouldn't have hit the same if Dabi had even killed Hawks, because it shows that Hawks somewhat spared... Dabi somewhat spared Hawks, but it wasn't the other way around with the heroes.
Yeah.
But it's just like I said, like...
It's also typical Dabi in a way, because Dabi will want Hawks to suffer after this as well, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You know, he'll want everyone to see Hawks, and then he'll want Hawks to have to face the public reaction. So, you know, Toya's destruction of Hero Society was phenomenal. Like, that's another thing. And then you have Makia tearing down through 20+ cities.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
See,
but it comes back to that argument of, you know, losing society is never as emotionally impactful as losing a character that we've followed.
No, if you lived in that world, like say it was like real, it would be different, right? Like, you know, as a thing.
But as a reader,
because the villains right now would be hella set up, you know. But right, let's be real here, right? I'm not a thing, and I'm a big fan of it, right? I'm a big fan of my hero, but we know like the typical thing is that it's gonna. I don't mind the heroes winning. The heroes always win, right? That's fine. But they have to win with sacrifice, right? That's how I build up a story, kind of thing. Like, that's how I prefer it.
Yeah.
Like, for a story like this, obviously...
It should come at a cost.
My favourite 2 series, Bleach and One Piece, obviously do not follow that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Bleach somewhat follows a cost. One Piece, everyone fucking survives somehow. I don't understand how, right?
But I mean, in Bleach, Momo survived, like, 2 impalings somehow.
Exactly. That's bullshit, right?
Yeah.
But I'll say that it's bullshit, right? But those series didn't give me my villain arc, right? Those series, to me, like the League of Villains are like my favourite group of villains. I've said this for a while now, and before it was like I really liked them. The villain arc made them my favourite because I thought going forward, not that we're going to follow the villains, but that he gave them just as much development as moments as the heroes, right? Which I thought was really cool. But just to see them then just dissolve almost into how villains are kind of treated in other shonen is kind of disappointing for me.
Yeah.
But that's where my biggest disappointment lied. I thought it was a good chapter, I did. And I loved Compress's reveal. It was exactly what I wanted from Compress, but not with him dying in the next chapter. So
yeah, I mean, if he survives, then it's fine.
If they get, that's what I mean. If they get a bit of plot armor, and please take a body, but they probably won't. But like, if they get a bit of plot armor in terms of, like, Shiggy now gets a power up or something, fair game. Well, kind of fair game. I've still got a bit of things, but I'm not disappointed if you get what I mean. Like, this is the first chapter I read it and got to the end, and I'm like, I'm a bit disappointed with Horikoshi with that one. Like,
yeah.
But
Lou, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, sorry.
I was just gonna agree with Jordan that, like, we finally got a compressed backstory, but it's like you've just given him the backstory that people wanted and killed him off in the same chapter.
It's a bit mad.
So you can't, or potentially killed him off in the same chapter.
Yeah.
Like, you can't. For certain characters, he would have had more hints to a backstory and then maybe kill him off.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact we've had nothing really, except for he's also linked to a famous villain family or famous family within the hero society, whether good or bad.
Yeah.
And then you've killed him off literally the next page, or the next 2 pages. You potentially killed him off. In other series, you would have had more build up to that backstory.
Yeah,
but you've done it all in one chapter and then killed him off.
And the thing is, like I said before, that I would have been fine with this kind of reveal and moment, because that's what sometimes they do, where it's like quick and it's surprising, right? But it's the fact that they've done it, but then they also, how do I put it? But it's because they haven't got any bodies, right? If heroes had also died in this battle, it was like a proper war, like skirmish kind of thing. Like, if someone had, I'm not being funny, right? Very emotional. Don't mean to press anyone. This isn't me going for anyone. But if, say, Aizawa straight up died in this fight, right? And then Compress died now and stuff like that, or like any character, right? Or Endeavor. If Endeavor had died and sacrificed himself to beat Gigantomachia to knock him back, stuff like that, right? But they haven't, and it's like, it just seems like, to me, as it being like one of my favourite villain groups, it's like, it just seems like a waste of their members.
This is it. This perfectly leads into what I was going to say. Twice was one thing, as I said, but if Compress dies, I say if Compress also dies, then it goes from being a league to just four guys. It's not really,
and a girl.
And 3 guys and a girl. It's not really.
Big up Toga.
It's not really a league at that point. It's four's a crowd. And
honestly, as much as I'm not saying they're terrible villains kind of thing, but I don't really I like Redestro, right? Think he's cool and stuff, right?
But we've not had
the other lot
like we do any others.
And the fucking, what was it, Gorillas guy, Feel Good Inc guy,
Feel Good Inc.
And the Ice guy was pretty cool and stuff. They're cool, but they're not the reason I like the League of Villains. I like the League of Villains because the League of Villains, right?
I get you.
And it's like, I felt like Twice was a big enough loss to that group without Compressed them having the exact backstory everyone wanted him to have, and it was perfect just for him to now leave, and now we won't have that for the future. And it's like, the Feel Good Inc guy might replace, they might come closer with the League. It's like, but
you don't have the emotional attachment.
I don't have the attachment now,
Sure.
No.
It's like Aizen from Bleach killing off Ulquiorra and then replacing him with just some random other hollow he found that is also cool, but it's like, that's not Ulquiorra.
You can always build it depending on how long the series goes. For me, Redestro has a very cool quirk, so that's one thing. And Gaten just seems like a very cool character.
Yes.
So, although I'm not comparing them, I'm saying in time, maybe.
Yes, maybe. That is something I will say, is that the way they set it up, this, as you've said before about how villains have ultimately taken a dub because of how much they've damaged society and stuff, right? If they actually use that to an advantage, the villains, and actually get some bodies and like in the future, I mean in future arcs, if it's like more, you know, cutthroat, I mean, kind of thing, then fair play, I was wrong, kind of thing. They used this arc to set them up better for future arcs. But it's just because this arc seems like this was the perfect opportunity, and this seems like now it seems like the heroes, even though they're going to struggle, they're going to set themselves up better now because they've got prep time, simply put. So, but yeah, I'm disappointed now, but there's so much of the series left with so many arcs that I'm not going to say, like, you know, it's trash. Like, I'm not shitting on Horikoshi, I'm just saying I was a bit disappointed with this chapter, like the way it planned out, basically.
For sure. We'll find out. We'll find out next chapter or in the next 2 chapters, for sure.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to speak a bit more about it. Because there's the theory as well out there that, you know, Shiggy is like the, you know, the ultimate criminal, you know, the amassing of like All For One, Destro and OG Haruma all in one villain. You know? You know, so if Shiggy takes all of their wills and Compress dies and All For One is done and maybe Redestro dies as well, and he takes all of that and he goes absolutely insane, then we can look back and say, you know what, it was worth it, as you said.
Definitely.
But yeah,
right.
This, it's a very difficult thing to speculate on because we don't know what the Compress is yet.
Yeah,
no, that's very true.
You know, so
well, should we do ratings then?
Yeah.
Unless you got anything else to say. Anyone got anything else? Sorry.
No, I got nothing, Lou.
Nah,
I think I've said my piece.
I think you lot covered it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I think everyone else should do their ratings first.
Oh, that's tough.
So, I mean, ignoring the fact that this could potentially end in heartbreak next chapter, as a chapter with Compress still being alive, I thought it was a great chapter.
Go on. Yeah, that's fun.
You know, I'd give it a 9 quite happily.
Fair. Lou?
I think probably like 8.5. I think just because I'm not sure whether I agree with giving the character the backstory that we all wanted and potentially killing him off so quick.
Fair enough.
That's a bit.
Now,
yeah, that's a problem.
I'm gonna do the opposite of what Luke had just done, and say right now, the big prediction is Compress is dead, right?
Dead, yes.
Fair enough.
And that we've been given that backstory is kind of a waste. So right now I'm giving it a 5.5 out of 10. Because I thought the best genius moment was sick, but I thought I like the backstory why it got that extra 0.5, but it doesn't like it's going to deliver anyway. So
yeah, for
right
me,
now,
my lower
in the
rating will come next
future chapters,
you know?
In the future arcs or chapters, that definitely wouldn't be a 5.5 chapter if you know what I mean. But for me right now, my feelings towards it, 5.5 for enjoyment.
Fair enough.
But yeah, let us know what your ratings are, whoever's watching. And let us know what you think is going to happen to Compress in the future things. We definitely will be covering this every week as we usually do. So if you enjoyed our discussion today, then please consider subscribing to stay up to date. We also do reactions to shows like Jujutsu Kaisen and what was the other one? Oh, Haikyuu. Oh, that's going to end next week. That was good.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, go off tangent about Haikyuu. But no, if you enjoyed, then please consider subscribing. And we hope to see you in a future video. Peace.
Peace.